Akur8 is revolutionizing non-life insurance pricing with their cloud-based, fully integrated platform. They've developed an AI-based insurance pricing solution that automates modeling for insurance companies while keeping full transparency and control of the models created, as required by regulators worldwide. With their machine learning native solution, Akur8 boosts non-life insurers' pricing capabilities with speed and accuracy. Please welcome Akur8.
Hi, good afternoon. Warm welcome from Akur8. So Akur8, after Walter's introduction, I guess doesn't need another introduction. Walter, thank you for the intro. Also nice to see some more clients of ours with Wacom on the stage just before us. I'm Julian, I'm from Akur8, and with me today are two of our business partners, Can and Andy. So, closer, that's the problem. Okay, thank you. So if you guys want to say hi real quick, introduce yourselves, want to tell us what your teams are doing, what you're doing, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. Ooh. Sorry. Hi everyone, it's great to be here. My first time at ITC. Some very interesting talks so far. My name is Andy. I'm head of risk modeling at Zego. A few words on Zego. I've got the jumper. We also have the logo up there. Zego is a commercial motor insurance provider, and we aim to provide the best price insurance for good drivers. So to do this, we combine best-in-class technology with sophisticated data sources to save our customers both time and money. As head of risk modeling, I'm in charge of the modeling team. What do? We build models. For example, that includes models around insurance risks or predicting claims, as well as conversion, retention modeling, and also market modeling to keep on top of what the market is doing. So to build these models, we use the appropriate statistical models, and we also always on the lookout for innovative predictive data sources that we can use for our modeling. For example, telematics data that we collect from our customers to improve our risk pricing.
Thanks, Julian. Thanks, Andy. Welcome, everyone. I'm Can. I'm working at Munich Risk Global Consulting Unit, in short GCU, and we provide Munich Risk clients, mostly primary insurers and MGAs, services starting from underwriting, claims, and pricing. And my team tries to improve our clients' KPIs by pricing sophistication. And I'm not a reinsurance expert. Most of my time in my career, I worked on pricing, product development in Turkey and in UK several years. And most of the time, I try to implement machine learning algorithms into pricing processes, try to improve pricing sophistication to help our clients to achieve better KPIs. Looking forward to share our insights today. Thank you.
Cool, thank you both. So I'm glad that we invited the right people to this topic, which is the practical implications of rate monitoring. So to kick the session off, Can, do you want to define what firstly we mean by rate, but also by rate monitoring to have all of us on the same page?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will start from the basics, but I'm going to try to keep it short. So rate monitoring is one of the fundamental components of the whole pricing process. So insurers price different products and different risks, and they use rating tables, and they try to differentiate the prices accordingly, aligned with the risk cost. So basically, they use rating tables, and it starts with a base rate, which is multiplied by the rates of different rating features. So for each figure in a rating table, pricing team or an actual team is responsible for. So you need to understand if your pricing is aligned with your business goals. And the things that you price for is keep changing. This is why you monitor your rates. You don't want to monitor something is not changing. So with rate monitoring, you try to understand if we need to make any changes in our pricing, and if the answer is yes, we need to understand what we need to change. And mostly I've been working P&C and health insurance, motor and home as well. So these markets are quite dynamic. Lots of things change in a couple of days. And whenever you roll out your new prices, it will be old in the next week. So you need to understand what is changing, how it's changing, and you need to try to align your prices accordingly.
So you're basically tracking what you expect of the business, and then you check if the reality turns out as expected or how close to expected.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Annik, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the motivation of that. Like, why do you do that, and what is the business impact of that?
Yeah, so let's think about it from the customer perspective, maybe. If I'm the customer and I'm looking to buy some motor insurance, what is the most important factor that I look out for when I look for my insurance, right? And there's not a trick question. Certainly in the UK, it's a very price-sensitive market, so that means price is, for me as the customer, is the most important factor. And that also means for actual me at Zego, that becomes very important, right? So if our prices are too high, then the customer is just going to go elsewhere and we get no business. If our prices are too low, we get lots of business in the door, but very little of that is going to be profitable. So getting the balance right between that sort of market competitiveness and then, I guess, loss ratio performance is very important. But how do you find that trade-off, right, between market competitiveness and loss ratio performance? So on the one hand, by quickly identifying areas where we're over or underpricing, we can make adjustments to make sure we're not losing market share unnecessarily, and at the same time, we're not leaving money on the table. And at a slightly longer time scale, we can look at, what are the segments that were performing better or worse from a loss ratio perspective than we expect, and then we can make a decision to adjust that as we see fit.
Cool, thank you. So what I'm hearing is both profitability and growth is why rate monitoring is important.
Absolutely. So getting that balance right is absolutely key in ensuring that we can price competitively as well as fairly, right?
Cool. So Can, only remotely related to the topic of growth, but there is a lot of gray in your beard. So how challenging is the process of rate making? What are the problems that you encounter?
So the biggest challenge is in execution. As I mentioned, there's lots of things changing, and the pricing team does not have all the time in the world, so you need to be quite quick. And in rate monitoring, when you try to understand if you are far away from your optimal position, you need to update all of your predictive models. You need to process your current portfolio and try to understand how your price is aligned with your projected costs. So it's very difficult to run a data, run through your models, and get projected costs and try to figure out where the difficulty is. So you need to be quite efficient in terms of speed and quality, which takes a lot of time and expertise, and not all the insurers are in the same sophistication level when it comes to pricing, which takes lots of time and effort. But if you are not fast enough in execution, especially when it comes to pricing and rate monitoring, you will be too late to take an action. So this is the biggest challenge that I see throughout my career.
I completely agree. Speed is absolutely key there. And so I guess for me, I see a big challenge on the technical side, and I call this good data and tooling. Now, what does that mean, Andy? Let's think of a scenario where there's a change in the market and we want to react to that. How's that going to go? So there's 3 steps here for me. So one is we need to be aware that something's changed in the market. 2, we need to be able to quantify that change and make a plan for how do we want to react. And then 3, we need to implement, deploy, execute our plan, if you will. And the quicker we can go through this process, the better. So to be aware of a change in the market, we need to have timely and accurate data coming in. So data pipelining to make that data available to us is very important. And then we need tooling to quickly do modeling on top of that data, gain the insights that we need from the data, and ultimately we need tooling to deploy once we've made a decision to deploy the change that we decided to make. So again, speed very important, getting that process really nailed down, that's what's going to make us succeed.
Cool, got it. On the trade-off of stability versus effectiveness or closeness to the risk of the pricing, are there any advices that you can give in order how to handle that trade-off? Maybe Can.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always think about a spectrum. In one end, you have really good predictive models in place, you have good underwriting rules, and you are monitoring your rates quite efficiently. And in that case, you might need to make small price adjustments. In that case, everything is okay. You don't need to disrupt your business. And in the other end of the spectrum, maybe your pricing models are not good enough. And maybe there are some big changes in the market. In that case, you might need to make big changes. So there are two options in this case. Either you would like to make a big change in your pricing structure, and this is mostly disruptive in your customer relations because you don't want to see big changes in your prices when you have your renewal offers. So, but it's an option, and you need to think about it, the implications, like if you want to make a big change or not. The other option is more healthy, but more difficult. You know where you are today, and you know where you want to be in the future. So you might think about the roadmap, like you may want to make small price changes. So you might have a more frequent pricing cycles, but this takes more effort. As I mentioned, again, it depends on the execution. If you manage to run all the analytics and rate monitoring processes quickly, you can manage to make incremental price changes, which doesn't hurt your customer relations a lot. But even if you need to make big changes, you can have some certain controls in place. A typical one is the caps and collars, in which you limit your price changes. But the healthy way is generally the sophisticated way in insurance pricing, like you want to have more frequent pricing cycles and make small adjustments.
Yeah, completely agree with that. I think we already established pricing accurately and fairly is very important. And I want to go again to the customer's perspective with one example here. So if I'm a customer who's looking to renew their insurance and I see a big price hike, 40, 50% or whatever, it's not a very good experience for me as the customer, right? And so we want to try and minimize that as much as possible. So to give you an example of what we've done in the team here is we've put data pipelining in place to get on a daily basis, get in the market data, see where there's changes that are happening and get automated alerts for, hey, this particular segment has changed in a particular way. And then we can go ahead and decide if we want to take action on a daily basis and make these updates very quickly so that we have small iterative updates and frequent so that we can keep close to the optimal rates as close as possible and we can avoid having to do huge price changes. So that's always the goal for us.
Yeah, so that comes out from both of you, that smoothness in the pricing updates is very important. But then you still need to update prices sometimes, right? So what are the advices that you give, or what are good reasons to update the end tariff to the customer?
Cool. I would like to talk about two approaches when it comes to price changes. So the first one is a more reactive one. You might want to keep your current position, both in premium production or market share or profitability. And in that case, you rate your monitors to understand how far you are away from your optimal position, and you try to react to the changes. It can be change in microeconomic indicators like interest rates or exchange rates, or there might be some changes in the risk cost like claim frequency and severity, which happened during COVID, and most insurers, none of the insurers have any historical data that can represent an effect like COVID. In that case, you depend on your rate monitoring and try to understand how you can improve your rates in time. So you're in a more reactive position in that case. And the other approach is more sophisticated. It's a more proactive kind of state. In that case, again, it includes a reactive activity, but further step you take, and you need to think about how you'd like to drive your portfolio through volume or through profitability. And insurance who have sufficient processes in place, they might actually play around with those aims. Like in one month you can focus on premium production, and on the next month you can focus on profitability. So once you have an aim, and once you know what the problem is coming from, then you have a motivation to price change.
Cool, thank you, Can. So what would you say are the takeaways of this discussion? What would you like to underline and for people to go home with? Andy?
I guess we haven't mentioned generative AI once in this talk, so we're not quite there yet in the rate monitoring process. If anyone has any cool ideas, find me later, I'll be around. But no, all joking aside, the key things to me are we need to be able to react at speed to any changes that we see. And for that, automation is very important. We need to be able to get notified of any changes that are happening, and we need to be able to react quickly to those changes. It's a fast-moving market. It's very price elastic. So if you don't react quickly enough, then you're going to get left behind. So really, to me, it's about that data and tooling, making decisions quickly, implementing changes quickly. That's what I think is key.
All right, thank you. And
yeah, a couple of words from my side. So my main takeaway would be, again, emphasizing the execution. And I just don't want to limit this to rate monitoring, because it applies to any process or any step of a pricing process. Like we need to be quite accurate and quite fast when it comes to insurance pricing, especially P&C and health. So as GCU, we are collaborating with Akur8, and myself and my team have been using Akur8 in many successful projects. And the impact that I see implementing new technologies in insurance pricing is we can build many predictive models in a very short amount of time, which allows us to spend more time on generating insights and making impact, because just building models doesn't translate into impact. So I'm trying to train myself with all these new technologies, and the main challenge here is like we need to keep up with the new inventions and implement into our pricing processes, and to train ourselves and train the next generation of pricing actuaries and experts.
Cool. Thank you for the little marketing pitch, Can. And as we have learned from Vakam, the group before, is you have a good relationship to your partners when you have them on WhatsApp. So I have you on WhatsApp since yesterday. So glad to have that box ticked. And thank you for sharing your insights from both an MGA and a consulting point of view. Very interesting. I think you both will be around. So again, Andy wants to talk about generative AI really badly. So he will hang out at the booth that we have at Akur8. And yeah, interesting to hear how, firstly, how delicate, but also how time critical the process of rate making is, especially in an industry that we normally think of as very slow moving and sluggish, right? So thank you both for the insight. Thanks to the audience, and come find us at the booth. Andy hangs out at our booth all the time.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon.